Life is an amazing podcast, and it is presented and hosted by myself, Caro, and my sweet dog Sparky. Give it up for him. I hope you're ready. Enjoy. And welcome back to another episode of Go For Your Life. Now, I'm super excited about the following guest because she means a lot to me. And actually, Rima mentioned once in New York, like, hey, Carol, why am I not listening to you when I, walk the streets of Brooklyn? And I was like, why aren't you? So actually, Rima really put this thing in my head of having a podcast in the first place. So thank you so much, Rima.
Thank you for having me, Carol. Yeah. Actually, we all are inspired and get influenced by various people in our lives. And, I'm just a tiny bead on the thread or the mala of your life. But I'm really excited you're doing this. I think you have totally a radio voice, and you have great passion, and you're committed to your ideas without being dogmatic. You're very flexible in the sense of communicating your messages. So I'm excited to be here. I'm a bit nervous, but let's do this.
Well, so I'm just excited. Like, I'm so excited that we're doing this together, Rima, because you really are very, very special. And we're living in some crazy times at the moment as well. So that's also why I thought, like, it's good to have some Rima action going, because while we're recording this, we're in the middle of the coronavirus madness, which is, I guess, influencing a lot of people. Like, how is it for you? How are you dealing with it, and how do you see it?
Okay, so a few ways, like you, in the sense that I sort of planted a seed with your podcast. Someone very dear to me about 12 days ago said, hey, if you do live in New York City, you could teach yoga online on Zoom. And I've never done that, and I started on Sunday, like 9 days ago, whatever that was, and it's been overly emotional in a fantastic way. It's been extremely cool to see people, to have students and practitioners from all over the world on their mats simultaneously. And the most wonderful aspect of it is I know 99.9% of them and know exactly where they live. And now we have a party in each other's home without being in each other's home. And so I think one way I'm very lucky and blessed to have a space to actually teach, and in a way technology has helped in the most efficient and proactive way. So I'm quite action-oriented, and so that suited me. I think we all respond or react to crisis differently based on the means that we have. And because I'm action-oriented, I went in that direction. I think the other thing that I've been speaking about and that has struck me as interesting, I can't really make a direct correlation, and maybe you heard me say that, Caro, but I feel like it's interesting how, we've experienced the bushfires in Australia and how forests have been burning in California, and then the Amazon burning a few months back, and how these forests and these trees, and especially the Amazon, is said to be the lung of the planet and releasing 20% of the oxygen. And now we are facing a lethal disease that is affecting our own lungs, that is affecting our respiratory system.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that the correlation you were making there. Because
and I don't even know, as I said, I don't know how direct that is, but it's just something that has been resonating with me. And also the fact that we're all inside, and at times we're feeling claustrophobic because we can't do what we habitually do. And so that this aspect of claustrophobia and the forest burning and corona and just all that, like just around the element of breathing, and it's interesting to consider. So and then I think I'm not on the front lines. Like, I have been thankfully affected by the disease, even though I was in New York a week ago, and everyone who's been really suffering from that, and the workers in the hospitals, the nurses, the doctors, and I can't imagine being on the front line and just feeling the direct impact of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, like it's comforting, but not to feel like our mind is so good at removing or remoting itself. So if you're not directly impacted, it's interesting to see how you can remove yourself from the situation, and then you have to consciously put yourself in it.
Yeah, you were saying something really interesting today as well, because I practiced your class today, and you were saying something like when you did your Dharma talk, you were saying like, is the world going to be the same? You know, like after this, like, do you have a little view for yourself? Like, what do you think will happen when this?
Well, a couple of things. On one hand, I think because memory, the word for memory in Sanskrit is smriti, and because our memory dictates often the future, because memory has to do with the past, and things were a certain way, and so because of that we hold on or hang on to how things were, and if they were good, you want them to be the same. And so of course there's a part of me that, I don't know if it's optimism or if it's ignorance or it's idealism or it's hope or it's just memory acting through me. Like, I want things to go back to how they were, at least not on a global perspective. I think a shift is needed in the way how we treat the environment, how we treat animals, how we treat each other. But from a microscopic and more smaller world perspective, which is like my world, my cocoon, my tribe, my universe. I want things to go back to how they were, in the sense that, I want to be able to go back into a room and teach 50, 60, 70 people, give hands-on assist, and not have to worry about people having PTSD or people being germaphobes, or I don't really know. So I haven't put a lot of thinking into that, because I really don't want to think of something other than how it was. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think also what you were saying about, how you were talking about Beirut and, these millions of people come together. That was also something that really touched me as well, because I was also thinking, that was just normal, and now it's something like, oh, you can't actually really do that, or you have to think about everything 3 times now or something.
And look, and when we think about like some of the greatest movements in history have been with, you're an activist, us coming together and speaking up for a cause, and it usually you need masses to do that, because that's the only way sometimes governments can understand that a change is needed. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do that, or when we're going to be able to do that. From the civil rights movement to the animal movements, to every uprising that has happened in our society.
And another thing that I thought was really interesting to ask you something more about as well is what you're saying, like, you're action orientated. So do you feel like when a crisis happens, because this is, in my opinion, like kind of like a second crisis for you in not a lot of time in between, because the New York studio also closed. I was there, for my birthday, in your last class, and that was also like really intense, of like, oh wow, the New York studio is closing, what's going to happen? Do you feel like when that crisis hits you, like, does it work for you? Like, you go straight into action, or how is the process?
I think, as you said, like, as I'm very action oriented, sometimes I need to remind myself that I can take the time and pull back. So that's the antidote, or the other side of the coin of someone who's action oriented and an extrovert. That sometimes I need to take the time to nourish my introvertness, or to pull back from action. Because sometimes action also has an impulse quality associated with it. So when the school closed, I think for me, in both instances, the desire, the good desire to sustain my community or our community, and maintain some sense of consistency for all of us as practitioners was the driving force, the fuel behind my actions. And so on December 22nd, I was like, well, we need another space. So I'm going to find another space. And I was lucky enough to have enough contacts in New York City to find another space. And then I was like, well, this is the second time. And is my efforts to maintain this community also slipping through my fingers like sand. And, thank you, baby. She's getting me apple cider vinegar. So, so it's I think you hit it. Like it's in both instances. Action is sort of the direction I took. But as I said, I also have to remember that sometimes somebody like me needs to pull back a little bit and take the time for more reflection. So it depends. Again, it's like I think, as I said earlier today in class, like we have different personalities, we've been affected, we've had different histories, and we all operate based on these personalities, histories, tendencies. And that's why we say in French, il faut de tout pour faire un monde. You need a little bit of everything to make a world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you feel like in these times of, when you feel, down or you're frustrated or, like anger, all these, emotions we're feeling also when crisis hits us, do you feel like yoga is really there for you? Like, do you find it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes along with whole action oriented. Like I need to move my body. So right now I'm actually on certain days I'm practicing twice a day because I'm practicing while I'm teaching.
Yeah.
And that's like just directing my energy in a certain way. I think all emotions are energies. Every emotion is energy at its seed form. So anger is energy. And anger can be transformed into a different quality if you tap it or contact it at the energetic levels: so irritation, frustration, boredom, restlessness, anger. And I think you and I had discussed this, and you probably are, just being who you are probably familiar with this. But in Buddhism, the wisdom aspect of anger is clarity. And so like Dr. Martin Luther King is a very good example of that. So there was a lot of anger, but he used it as a way to clarify or crystallize his vision, and then created that incredible movement. So I mean, definitely. And again, I also want to profess or want to say that I'm extremely, I feel extremely grateful and blessed. Like I'm in a situation where I can have access to Wi-Fi. I can have the space to teach. I actually had a yoga mat and blocks, and I have a practice, and I'm not too far from the beach. Like, okay, it's easy for me to turn something into action.
Yeah.
I feel I'm healthy. Thankfully, I hope I have a strong immune system. So all of that.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not that there's no room for anger and frustration, but even if there was anger and frustration, I have the means to turn them around. And so it's like, it's a very different situation for someone who's can't move or who's sick, or, just tell them, oh, you have a practice. They might not even have the space to practice.
Yeah, totally. I think that's happening with other people in the world as well. Yeah. Because Rima, for you, how long have you now been teaching yoga?
I've been teaching 14 years. I started teaching in February 2006. So 14 years exactly.
It was also always Jivamukti Yoga.
Always Jivamukti Yoga. I've never taught anywhere else actually in the city, other than, I guess, workshops, etc. But yeah, that's what I teach. That's what I mean, if I don't think, even if you ask me to teach something else, I don't think I'd be able to teach something else, because that's what it's in my DNA.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I'm also influenced